We are going to take a look at linear inequalities in two variables today. We've been spending a lot of our time on linear equalities, so linear equations. Now we're going to take a look at inequalities. A linear inequality is just like an equation, except for it has an inequality symbol instead of the equal sign. So the is less than, is greater than, or equal to, those types of signs. So when we're solving them, our answer, our solution, is an ordered pair that makes the inequality true. And we can never write all of those ordered pairs because there's always going to be multiple answers. So if you get something like x is less than 3, we have 1/2, -3, -10, 2. There's lots of answers. So we can't possibly write them all. So we just leave them as an inequality of x is less than 3. When you're graphing, you are going to have a few different things to think about. So the first thing is, if you have an inequality that is not underlined. Oops, I don't want to write the same one twice. There we go. So is less than or is greater than. There is no underline, there's no equal to, so it does not include points on this line. You give that line a dashed line. That's just showing that we're not including it. We're not including the points that are on that line. If we have underlines, so if they're equal to or equal to, then they have that underline. Then they get a solid line because they're including points that are on that line. And then the shading. So if we are less than or less than or equal to, less than means smaller. So we're going to shade under our line. So if we were looking at this red line, I'm going to shade under it. So I'm going to shade there. So everything that would fall, any ordered pair that would fall in that shaded area would be an answer to our inequality. And then, let me do one other color. If we have is greater than or equal to, then we would shade above our line. So again, we're going to look at the red line here. Shading above it would be up here. So in the past, what I've noticed is kids have a hard time deciding whether which side of the line is on top or below. And I always say, think about if you were going to sit on the line. If you were going to sit on it, which side would you be on? And that is your above. That's your top part of the line. Okay, so hopefully that helps you out a little bit. So for example 1 here, we have to graph the solution set for this inequality. Well, before we can do that, we have to solve it for y. So I'm going to minus 2x from both sides. So I have -3 is greater than or equal to 6 minus 2x. And then I have to divide everything by -3. And remember, with inequalities, if I divide by a negative, I have to flip that sign. So 6 divided by -3 would be -2. And -2 divided by -3 is going to be positive 2/3 x. And then we can graph this. Our y-intercept is -2. So we put a dot at -2. And then our slope is 2/3. So that means we're going to go up 2 and over 3. And then we have to look at our inequality symbol. It's underlined, which is including the points on our line. So we are going to draw a solid line through our 2 points. And then y is less than all of this. So less than would be under the line. So we shade here under it. And that would be our answer in our graph. So example 2, we're going to do the same thing here. We have to solve for y. So I'm going to minus 26 first. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. And that's a positive 2, so I'm not going to flip the sign. 14 divided by 2 would be 7. And negative 26 divided by 2 would be negative 13. Okay, so our y-intercept here is negative 13. So we're going to put a dot at negative 13. And then our slope is 7. So 7 over 1. So we have to go up 7 and over 1. And then we have to decide whether our line is solid or dotted. And looking at our inequality symbol here, it's not underlined, so we're not including our points on it. So we're going to make our line dotted. And y is greater, so we're going to shade above the line. So if you were to sit on that line, you would sit on this side here. So that is our graph for that one. And then example 3, Jordan can spend at most $6.75 on healthy snacks for a party. Veggie chips cost $1 per package and grapes cost 75 cents per bunch. Find 2 combinations of veggie chips and grapes that Jordan can buy. So we're going to have to label our veggie chips and our grapes. One is going to be X and one is going to be Y. I'm just going to go in order. The first one was X and the second one was Y. So he's going to pay $1 per package of veggie chips, and he's going to pay 75 cents per bunch of grapes. And we know he has $6.75 to spend. He cannot go over that, so that has to be our biggest number. And he could also spend exactly $6.75, so it could be equal to as well. So just like the other problems, now that we have our inequality written, we have to solve for y. So we're going to minus 1x from both sides. So we have 675, and I'm going to put minus x because we normally don't write that 1 out front. And then I have to divide everything by 0.75. So this would be y is less than or equal to, and 6.75 divided by 0.75 is 9. And then negative 1 divided by 0.75. So 1 divided by 0.75 is 3/4. So keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep that 1 but make it a fraction, change to multiply, and flip that 3/4. So we're going to end up with 4/3 for that answer for our slope. Remember, we want it improper because we have to do rise over run. So now to graph this, and you think about this word problem, we can only buy positive numbers of veggie chips and grapes. So we're only going to use quadrant 1 here. All right, so our y-intercept is 9, so we're going to put a dot at 9. And our slope is negative 4/3, so down 4 and over 3. And then we are including it because the line, because we have an underlined inequality. So we're going to try our best there. And y is less than, so that means anywhere in here. And remember, we're not including all of the other quadrants because we can't possibly buy negative bunches of grapes or negative veggie chips. So then it says to give 2 combinations of what he can buy. And remember, our X was veggie chips and our Y is grapes. So we have to pick 2 ordered pairs that fall into that shaded region. So I'm going to say 2, 2 falls into that region. So 2 veggie chips and 2 bunches of grapes. And then Oops. One other ordered pair would be right here, 4, 1. So there's lots of answers that we could pick from here. So 4 veggie chips and 1 bunch of grapes. Those are 2 possible answers.